Hello, my name is Emily, and my Etsy store is Yesterday's Stash, and I have a book here I'd like to show you that I have been putting together here this summer. This summer is actually the 10th summer or year that I have been making junk journals. It has been a wonderful process, and I have really enjoyed it. So I've called this book Inspired because I wanted a book that I could show a few of the things that have inspired me over the years. One of the things is the cover that I used. The cover that I used came from a book that had different, I'll show you some real quick to show you just an example. It's one of these books. It's a Victorian book that is used to keep photos in. So I cut one out and then I put a photo in it, and I covered the photo with acetate to protect it. The book is 9 by 6, and it has a 4-inch spine, and the spine is sort of curved. And I have put yellow lace around it, and then I have put a row of flowers. I have made a tassel that is a combination of ribbon and sari silk, eyelash trim, and beads. And I'm going to put it right here. I've also got some, I'll put it right here. You can cut it or untie it if you want to. So to open the book up, the book is 96 pages. It has 5 signatures. So some of the things that have influenced me are Etsy sellers or people that are doing tutorials on the Etsy store. This one is Old Lucina, and she suggested using a lace and putting it on a cardstock, and then putting a little frame on the top and covering it with cellophane. So you may not be able to see it because the cellophane does reflect. Jane Austen has been a huge inspiration for me doing the work that she does. And all the books that I have read by her, about her, by her 5 or 6 books. Playing cards or cards. This is a Go Fish for Art, Van Gogh and Friends. Making interesting pockets that have a combination of different medium in it. Etsy sellers that sell their digital kits has been a real inspiration to me. And this one is a ball that in Jane Austen's day, so it came out of the picture came out of one of her books. I have also sew a lot, so I have put quite a bit of sewing into here. My family had a huge collection of postcards, so I have postcards in here. This is an example of 2 different Etsy sellers' digital kits and how interesting they are and how different they are. One is I'm not quite sure who these belong to, but I will have that listed in my description box. Going to the thrift store is always an inspiration, and this is an example. I don't even know if you could see it, but of a little angel that is a decorative element that can be. It's in cellophane. It was 25 cents. It says 50 cents, but that day it was 25 cents. Here's a pocket that I used where I folded paper over and used some lace. And then I like to follow female authors, and this one is Georgia Eliot. Georgia Eliot was her name when she was her real name, but she changed her name to George Eliot so she could publish her books. It's just an interesting read about her. I've got about 12 pages where you can, full pages, to do some notes or writing on. I've been inspired by using little charms and bold pens, paper clips, using fabric, using magazines. Magazines have always been, I just love magazines. And I have, right here is lace, or maybe it's a tablecloth, but it's an open woven tablecloth, and I dyed it in sort of a rose color and put it on here. Tim Holtz, this is his a tag out of his wallflower wallflowers or wallflowers kit that he has. I enjoy putting little quotes, do what makes you happy, and putting borders on the edges and using decorative scissors to put edges on it. This is an example of a piece of fabric that had all these different panels of advertisements for kettles or for tea. And they were all different colors. This one is Blue Kettle. It's called Tea House. And then I use a lot of hem tape in but both hem tape and using a decorative tape for the hem to use as little borders on the edges. I enjoy working with things like making my own tags. This is one from a tag swap that I did with Rolodex cards. This is a piece of dictionary paper that came from my great aunt's house. After she passed away, we had to clean the house out, and I was able to bring home lots of things that a lot of spinsters lived in that house, and so there was a lot of laces and all kinds of different supplies, as well as papers, and this is from a dictionary that she had. Here's more quotes. This is actually, I found this at my gift store. It's amazing what you can find at a gift store. This is actually a nameplate for a setting where people sit at a table, but instead of it having the person's name, it says, "What you do matters," which I thought was really interesting. More of the hem tape, the lace hem tape, and more of the charms. I also enjoy working with black and white, or sepia. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that word, but right here is an example of an old book that had a tricycling costume on it. Lots of pictures that were like this. This is in Prague, 1878, 1879. So I still don't know how he would get up on that tricycle, but this is another tutorial that I found online where you take a piece of scrapbook paper and you put paper in it and you make it look like a matchbook. This is using different kinds of paper, such as glassine or tracing paper, or the different thinner fabrics that you can find at thrift stores. Again, more note pages. This is the end of the first signature. In each signature, I've put a piece of lace. It's about 1 inch between the signatures. And then this is an example of using a magazine as a picture out of a magazine, using it as a tag. That's an old English room, maybe a library that was set up for them to have afternoon tea. I enjoy including things from the library. I have a ton of these. They are the Library of Congress cards. Again, pleating lace. This is a partially opened packet of envelopes by, this is Martha Stewart, and I opened it up and I ended up putting some stamps in there, using any kind of Ranger's ink to make different types of stenciling. This one is from a company called Wish, and some eyelash trim on the bottom, and this is they're clear plastic, and you can just simply glue them on. And then I put a stencil on that as well. I folded over, I don't know if you can see this, but I folded this paper over, and I used a daisy trim to adorn this. This one did the same thing, and I used a lace that I sewed and pleated as I was sewing. And then I included whatever notebooks I could to fit in here, where some people want to write in the book, other people want to write on something and fold it up and stick it somewhere. So I put that in there. This is an example of English cottages. This is the book, and you open it up, and it has all these full open pictures of houses and explanations. And I'm an Anglophile. I love all things England and English, so I have been using books like that to put in pages of books. This is an example of a thatched roof that was used in those days. More stenciling. This is just an odd packet of ephemera that came from the thrift store that you can open up. It's got little glass platelets, clear glass, and it's got some paper and different things of this nature. And then this is more of those notebooks that you can use to pull out and write notes. This is the other side of that wish paper. This is an example of using thicker pages of pictures of dress in the 18th, maybe the 19th century or the 1800s, and the different types of patterns and things of that nature. And then I had some sari silk here, but I opened it up on either side of the page so it could be seen. This is, I also really enjoy Impressionist art, Impressionist aged art. And so this is a collage of some of Van Gogh's work. I like to combine different like laces and pieces of fabric and join them together to make pockets. And using music, using different textures to adorn a page. This is from Artie May, and Artie May is an Etsy digital kit seller, as well as she has a thrift tutoring. She does a lot of interesting tutors. But this paper here came from, it's called Old London. It's one of the first papers that I bought, and I just loved. I've used it over and over and over again. A different kind of paper here is used for origami. Again, putting lace on the edges of the borders of the books, and using thin paper for tags, thinner paper. You can use thick or thinner. This is the most recent thing that I found at my thrift store. It was a whole stack of these types of packaging, where you take and you can open or use it as a sticker, and it has different sticker ideas for you to use. And this is vellum paper that I bought from Wish. Putting little clusters on the edges of books, little collages or different types of ideas to go together, different textures. This is another thing I found from Wish. It's a gold. It's got gold trim on it, gold around, and then these are gold flowers that are coming out of it. And then wildflowers has always been, especially wildflowers from England. So I made this is from a book page of different pictures of wildflowers. And then I used Excel paper on the back to use as a writing spot on it. This is also an example of how I take different laces or different trims, join them together, sew them together, and make a little pocket. Little ideas like this that have tag, maybe postcard that has a quote on it, and then it's plain on the back so that you can write on it. And then this is tea bag paper, tea bags that I bought new. A lot of what I use my books for come from thrift stores, as you can probably tell. But this is new. These are tea bags, which you can use them by putting your own scoop of tea in it and seeping it for for drinking, or you can use them as little top pockets. So I'm stuck some of those in there for for experimenting with. And then the stickers are always fun. These are stickers of angels, and using book pages where the book has writing on it. And this is actually an example of a piece of a kit or something that you can buy for 25 cents at my thrift store. It's actually little vellum flowers, and it was 25 cents and one was missing. So that's an example of how you can use, and I'm not quite sure how I can get it to show, but how you can go to the thrift store and find something like this that just has one piece missing out of it, and it's next to nothing. Otherwise, Jolie's Boutique has a price point of maybe $6 or $8 for this kit at Michael's. This is also using piano roll paper. That has always been a fun paper to work with. I've also like to use scrapbooking papers. Most of the scrapbooking paper that I own has either been gifted to me or is from the thrift store. And this is a 3D kind of it feels really good to touch it. And then right here is something else that I got from Wish, and you peel it off and you can use it as stickers, and that's what I did here in this pocket. Using cards, these are from Instagram sellers, so I also follow some Instagram sellers who sell their merchandise on Instagram. This is a pair of say bridge cards that were playing cards at one time, and I have actually taken and put a cardstock on the back and made it like so that you could use it as a tag, and just really unique and interesting kinds of different papers that you can use. I found this is it's a note paper that almost looks like newsprint, but I found it in a set of inside a cellophane bag with about 10 different things that you can use to make a junk journal, and some of the papers were in there. I've not been able to find those since, so I think that was just a one and done because I have been looking different places. I bought about 5 of them when I was there, but I think it was just something that someone sold at that one junk store or thrift store. This is more of that paper, little stories, little cards, or little newspaper. This is using that newsprint for a song on both sides there. This is an example of another Etsy seller called Tsunami Rose, and I purchased her sewing kit because I sew a lot. But look on the back side, I was able to use just the way that the paper just turned out so beautifully on this. It was photograph paper, and it was kind of shiny, and so it just it matched her sewing kit packet. So it turned out really, really good, and I was pleased with how the printer printed it out. This is using an invoice from time gone by, and using that and making a little booklet out of it. Here is another type of like a resume. No, not really resume. That's too thin, but a kind of wrapping paper or something to that nature. And this is where I took a library card, or the jacket that you stick the library card in the back of the book, and I ran it through a spellbinder and got it so it's kind of a 3D, and then I put some glaze on it, put some newsprint on it, and did a little collaging, and used it as a pocket over here. Example of using different kinds of lace. I probably have 15 different laces in the book that that I added to different pages. This is an example of I guess you could call it a paper clip, but it's magnet magnetized, and I stuck that in here. There's a little magnet that can be moved. I like to make my own tags. This is a tag I made where I used a punch. Stick it in this envelope. Over here is a heart-shaped piece of fabric that I put Jane Austen's silhouette on. I have lace around it, and then on the inside I have some interesting cake. You stick them in the top of a cupcake or cake for decoration. You can take the toothpicks off and use the flowers for something else if you like. This is an example of where I took a page and I made a pocket, and then I found ribbon and did some pleating on it. I found fabric that matched it, did some pleating on it, used flowers and newsprint, buttons and trim, and made a little, and this is another one of those. So just a lot of fun working on these books. Just a lot of fun to come up with different ideas. Don't know if you're familiar with this company. It's called these are called Thoughtfuls, but the company is called live-inspired.com. And what these are is you open them up and they have a little saying in them. The other side, you can write something. So these two are not open for you to decide what for the person who purchases the book to decide how they want to use these. I found these in a bundt cake store. Nothing Bundt Cakes is the name of the store. I love to use stationery and cards that either used or new that I can find in the thrift store. And that's an example of one. And this is using a glassine bag that I went through a stage of making glassine bags. Another Rolodex card, a swap, and then taking partially opened used packages of little kits, just like the Jolene's Boutique, and using the leftovers on my books. This book by Jane Austen is actually a this picture. It came from a Jane Austen book, and it comes from a set of brothers. After Jane died, sometime later, her brother started selling her books, trying to get her books published. And then he hired these two brothers. Their last name was Brock, and they illustrated all of her books. So a lot of you will notice that a lot of the illustrations look very similar. And you can tell that this, similar artist or illustrator did the books. Again, more paper for just pulling out and writing on, doing tiny little collaging and button with a little gem on it. Just a lot of fun to put these books together. I found some old little bags, and I found some doilies that are in the shape of a heart to include in here. I found all of those at my thrift store. And then this is an example of, we were on a cruise and we stopped at a port called Rouen in France. And I decided, we got off and walked around, and I came across an antique store, and I thought, well, I'll go in and see if they have any papers or anything fun. And this is what I found, this little book. It's obviously old and aged, but I often wonder what they use these books for. I only bought a few of them because I didn't have a lot of room in my suitcase, but it's in French, so I can't translate what these books might have been used in. But he had several, so they were actually a set, and the books have their own hand sewn spine on them. Another example of using Etsy sellers digital kits to make to get all kinds of fun pictures to add decor, or fun to your book, or to stick in a pocket, or can be cut up and used for something else. And that's the end. You can see that I use an Etsy seller's digital kit for this, and this is Aida cloth. The way I put the book together is I used Aida cloth, which is this. It's an open weave that you can use for cross stitching, and then behind that I used Craftex, and then behind that is where I added this wallpaper, or this basket woven sort of wallpaper design. And then that's how I add my signatures through those to keep the book secure and to keep it. So it's a thick book, it's a fat book. This is the color of the book that the book was on the outside. So I was able to find something that matched it on the front, that had a similar colored design on the front. Just a lot of fun. This book will be for sale in my Etsy store. My Etsy store is Yesterday's Stash. That's all one word, Yesterday's with an S, and then Stash with all one word. And that's where you can find me on Etsy. Thank you for coming along, watching this. It's just a lot of fun to put these books together. And we'll talk again soon.